All right, welcome in. Well, I have no idea what today is. Thursday, I think. But the bottom line is I am not Dan Alexander, and I could give two shits left about the Phillies. However, I do care about a few of these other games coming on here today. Welcome into First Pitch. We are graced by the presence of two of the best over at WagerTalk with Tokyo Brandon and Adam Trigger, Mr. Diamond himself here. And gentlemen, short card here today. A lot of early games kicking off 1 o'clock this afternoon. We got a couple with Houston, Cincinnati. It looks like Minnesota and Tampa. And then we got a couple of games late that'll correspond with Detroit and the Padres. Looks to be the late game. And, oh, yeah, did we mention football's on tonight, too, as well? But that's a totally different show. TB in the house. Let's kick it off here, my man. You want to go to that late game with Detroit and the Padres. Mize against Perez, the lefty I'm seeing. 8.5 as a total. 160 I am seeing for the Padres. How you breaking this one down?
Yeah, thanks. What's up, Joe? What's up, Adam? So, yeah, we got the Tigers going against the Padres here. Padres are on quite a roll. They're chasing the Dodgers for first place in the NL West. And I don't really have a play in this game, but it's kind of like a warning to people. Casey Mize, not a great pitcher. You know, I have about 300 starting pitchers in my database, and I rank them on a curve of 30. So I can compare them to the bullpens and the batting. And I have Casey Mize ranked 19, and I have Martin Perez ranked 23. Perez is an awful pitcher, actually. He's not good at all. He was with the Pirates. Now he's with the Padres. He's just not a good pitcher. Both of these bullpens are good, but the Tigers have an extremely good bullpen. I have them ranked 5th in all of Major League Baseball, while I have the Padres ranked 11. So slight edge to the Tigers there in starting pitching. Edge to the Tigers in bullpen. Batting, I have the Padres batting 15, and I have the Tigers batting 19. So to sum it up, to make a long story short, Padres are very dangerous bet in this. So it's kind of more like a public service announcement not to bet on the Padres today. They might win, I could be wrong, but I'm just going to tell you right now that betting the Padres here at minus 160 is a bad bet. Even bad bets win once in a while, but as sports bettors, we're here to bet on probability, and we're here to bet on what's likely to happen. And Padres with Martin Perez on the mound, not likely to win. And even if they do win, minus 160, bad odds, sucker bet, not good. I don't think I would take the Tigers either, but I'm just saying, Padres are not a good bet today.
All right, so you're definitely not buying the Padres in this spot here tonight. That is the late game for TB, and a big shout out to the chat rooms joining us here today on this Thursday. Joe Ranieri stepping in for Dan Alexander. He is not at a Phillies game. He is the complete opposite of a Phillies game right now. He is somewhere roaming around in Nome, Alaska. I'll have him tell you the story when he gets back. In the meantime, Adam Trigger's in the house, and Adam Trigger is ready to go. Trig feels like waiting for no game. So the earliest game as humanly possible, Trig wants to get down on, and that would be the Twins and Rays, which feel like they've been playing for a month now, Trig. So what do we do? That Twins lineup is in bad shape here right now. Everybody seems to be hurt. So what do we get in this fourth game of this series?
Yeah, the Twins, man, I had them yesterday, and the fourth inning was a total disaster. 2 errors. Really, there was probably 4 plays not made. It was just disappointing for me because I've been on the Twins in this series, so I cashed with them on Monday night. I did not play them on Tuesday. I actually used the Rays as the best bet on first pitch on Tuesday. But everything played out for me to get my spot with the Twins yesterday. Knew they were going to come in with Lewis Varland, who was good first time through the order. And then at first and third, he throws a ball into right field in a 3-2 count instead of trying to get the batter out, which, again, is this just me complaining a little bit? But it was just an inning that didn't need to happen. And it's where the Rays did all their damage yesterday, basically. I think the Rays maybe added one more run after that fourth inning that completely blew up the game. It was kind of like tough to watch. I thought the Twins were going to dominate this series, Joe. Now they need to win the split. So it is the way I'm looking for the sake of this handicap. But, I thought, one thing, I thought the saving grace from the way that game played out yesterday was that I would get a playable number here to come back with the Twins. But that doesn't really seem to be the case with having to lay minus 140 on the road. So I'll tell you a couple reasons I'm not going to do that, but why I still think the Twins is the right side if you're going to bet the game. So just some overall numbers with the Twins coming into this game. They're 5-11 in their last 16 games. They've been outscored 87-62. They have 6 blown leads. The bullpen has a 5.42 ERA in that span. So that to me was surprising that you get blown out 9-4. You're coming in that sort of vein of form, and yet you still have they're still minus 140 on the road here, which is, again, was shocked to see the number that high. I'll tell you why, though, it probably is. The books love Pablo Lopez. We've talked about it on this show numerous times. He is always priced almost unplayable, where they have him on a game-to-game basis. He is making the books look extremely smart of late. 20 scoreless innings. He's got 3 straight outings where he has not given up a run. 15 strikeouts in those 20 innings. He's been fantastic. 5-1 with a 1.92 ERA over his last 8 starts. So there's a lot to like about that. But again, I can't get down with laying minus 140 on the road. If this was minus 115, like the series has kind of been priced to this point, I would have been all about it. But I think another reason for that is Taj Bradley on the other side. His last 6 starts, 9.85 ERA with 8 home runs allowed. That is so insane because if you go back to his 9 starts prior, he had an ERA under 1. So talk about being streaky. That is the embodiment of it right there. The reason Bradley is getting bombed lately is his splitter is not breaking at all. He's leaving it up. And as you guys know, TB will attest to this with all the baseball he's watched over the years. If a splitter or a sinker guy is not getting the downward break on his pitches, it's basically a batting practice fastball. And major league hitters can absolutely crush that. So I guess the best way to bet this game might be to, maybe try to watch the first inning. And if it doesn't look like Bradley's got his good stuff, jump in live because I would imagine he'll pitch to what he's done the last few games. Like if that splitter doesn't have the good downward movement, that this Twins lineup will make him pay. It would be Twins for me here, but at the price point of minus 140, they're just not playing good enough right now for me to be stubborn and come back with them. So I like the Twins. It'll be a pass for me, but that's just kind of the way I see this one.
All right, so we've got a couple of games in the book here, and of course we've got best bets still to come. Not a big slate here, but as we check out the chat room, Aaron in there on YouTube, Mike Scott, Titan CT in the house, I believe. Brian Ordali also in the house on YouTube Short. Shout out, by the way, to TikTok as well as Nadu2121 on Instagram. I am starting to see some questions rolling in. And TB, I'll come to you with Washington and Pittsburgh. Falter against Irvin. 2 teams in a race to go absolutely nowhere except on a cruise once the season's over. I am seeing pretty much a coin flip in this game. The total has come down, though. I'm seeing 8 right now with Irvin on the mound taking on Falter. Although Pittsburgh has played some decent spoiler baseball as of late here. How do you approach this game? The home team got the edge for you?
Well, good question. This is a game of 2 teams that are how shall we say, poor bullpens, first of all.
Yes.
Especially
which is
Pittsburgh.
why the undergoing down is interesting from 8.5 to 8 now.
I don't understand that because this Pirate bullpen is awful. I have them ranked 28 out of 30, and I have Washington's bullpen ranked 21 out of 30. So 2 horrible bullpens, and Falter is an awful pitcher as well. I have him ranked 27 out of 30 on my 30 starting pitcher curve. So Awful. The Nationals don't have a lot of confidence in their hitting because I have them ranked 18. But I mean, I think any team could pretty much put up runs against the number 28 bullpen and number 27 pitcher. So I expect some runs in this one. Yeah. And up until a couple games ago, I had the Pirates ranked top 5 in batting in MLB. They've fallen a little bit in the last couple days, put up a couple bad games, but the Pirates were really hot a couple days ago. So I expect a lot of runs here. I don't see why this is falling at all. I'm not sure if Adam agrees with that or not, but I don't see why this total would fall. I see no reason whatsoever.
Well, Irvin has given up 4 or more runs now in 4 of his past 6. He's 1-3 over that stretch, Trig. He's got nearly a 7 ERA. How in the hell is this thing staying under? Why is it going from 8.5 to 8? It feels like a dead over. Are we missing something?
Strange.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really disagree with Tokyo Brandon's handicap. Falter and Irvin are not like, so when you look at their, I mean, they don't either, both of them neither have like horrible numbers. I mean, if you look at the season long numbers, like for Bailey Falter, mid-4 ERA, 1.29 whip, like at a quick glance like that, to me, he's having like a kind of a decent season for where I have him sort of rated. And I think the same thing could be said with Jake Irvin too. So, I mean, they're both capable of a good start at a given time, and both offenses are capable of going cold. So that maybe is like, would be your argument for the under. I have no desire to get involved with either of these two teams right now. The Nationals showed up to cost me a 5%er on Tuesday. And then, of course, last night lost in what would have been a tougher matchup for them, so or a better matchup for them. So I'm not going to back them here. I don't want to back the Pirates. I've been anti-Pirates all season. So, yeah, this quick pass for me on this one.
All right, so we do have some questions rolling in, and don't forget to hit that follow button. You guys joining us here on TikTok as well as Instagram. We appreciate you guys hanging out. Lou talks about how the Yankees suck in our YouTube chat. No argument from that point there, Lou. Appreciate the commentary there. We do also have another 1:00 game coming up, and I'll head back to you, Trig, with Brown and Lauder here, Cincinnati and Houston coming up. Lauder made his debut? Was it last week? 4 innings, 1 earned, 2 hits, 6 strikeouts. He did walk 4. Not bad. There, a lot of fanfare with this kid when he came up, Trig. In fact, I think on this show you had mentioned about this kid in the minor leagues and them bringing him up. What do you think here? I mean, when you give up 9 runs, if you're Arrighetti last night in the bottom of the first, it's kind of hard to recover from that against Cincinnati. It feels like an over, or are you thinking under or a side in this one?
I don't want this show to turn into like me just complaining, but that's, you keep hitting on the games that like, I'm on Lauder last week in the second leg of a doubleheader. They call him up to make his major league debut. Yes, he's been fantastic at the minor league level. Numbers at AA were insane. Remember, this kid was at Wake Forest last year, right? He's only been in the minors for 1 year, flew through the ranks, was good in his couple AAA outings, and really, like, he wasn't even bad in his debut. It's just the Reds kind of unraveled at the end. They didn't score at all for him. So I kind of had this circled to come back with him here. And then what do the Reds do? They go out and win 3 straight games. I used them on Monday as the best bet for the show. Should have added it to my client card. They won that game. They blow up Arrighetti last night. So it's like, am I going to jump in now with the Reds to avoid, to sweep? And more importantly, am I going to fade Hunter Brown to not get swept? I guess is the better way to put it. I want to point out something like, someone in the comments of the show last week, like I may have misspoke, or it might have been TB that talked about him. Like I don't think either of us implied that Hunter Brown is a bad pitcher by any means. In fact, he's been one of the best pitchers in the game this year. But I do want to clarify, because I think I said that when I was talking about it, and I think you maybe agreed with me, Brandon, I just didn't think he could get any better. Like, that's kind of the way I was looking at it. The guy he's got a 1.96 ERA in his last 15 starts. Since June 8th, he has 10 wins, and his 1.96 ERA are the best in the American League. So for me, and really more or less based on the eye test, like, I do think he probably has a dud coming. Do I want to, put my money up against it and find out that way? I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, I think that where he's priced, and I'm going to look at the odds screen right here, being a minus 155 road favorite. The way I would look at it, Reds plus 1.5, minus 125 is the way I would bet it. I do think there's some value on the Reds, especially with Lauder, because, it's going to be a second start. He's got fantastic stuff. The Astros have never seen him. And I thought that other than some command, maybe trying to be too cute early on in that game last week, I thought he was pretty good. So I like the Reds plus 1.5. I did dig up one interesting stat here for this one, Joe. The Reds are 8-0 against the Astros since the beginning of 2019. 8 straight wins for the Reds against this Astros team, dating back to 2019. If you're going to bet this game, I don't know how you pass up the run cushion at this price. Reds plus 1.5, minus 120, minus 125. That seems like some value there. So I'd be beyond the Reds again.
Hey, bro, we ain't fixing it there. TB, you in agreement with him on this game?
Actually, no, I'm not. Lauder, he's right. Lauder does have good stuff, but he's got a 1.50 whip. Granted, he's only one start, but I have both of these teams hitting. The Reds hit pretty good. Both of these teams are top 10 hitting teams, but the bullpen here is huge discrepancy. Astros have a much better bullpen, and Adam mentioned in the last show, I think I'm the one that badmouthed Hunter Brown in the last show, and I got called out by someone in the comments that, hey, he's not that bad. Actually, I stand corrected, because when you look at his last 5 starts, he's given up 1, 0, 0, 1, 2. He's had 5 great starts in a row. And if I was going to go anywhere in this, I would go. I don't trust Hunter Brown, but if I was to go anywhere in this one, it would be with the Astros. I can't take the Reds with that bullpen. It's so bad, but they are good hitting. They are a good hitting team. So minus 160 is a little tough to swallow. But an old trick for a veteran sports bettor, you can always take a -1, a no risk -1. -1 means if they win by 1, it's a push instead of a loss, which is what you would do on the run line. You can shave off about 30 cents. Yeah, you can get a -1 for about -130. So that's where I would go in this one.
All right, like the approach there. Don't forget, hit that like button there if you're joining us. We certainly appreciate it. Apparently, Michelle in the chat room is going through Dan withdrawals right now. Don't worry about Michelle. He will be back, I promise, on Monday. You'll be graced with Steve Merrill, I believe, RR1L tomorrow. But yes, and I do think Boss 429 brings up a good point. Why is Dan in Alaska? Because he heard gold is now $2,500 an ounce, and he brought his shovel to Alaska with him. So he's got a pickaxe and a shovel, and he is them looking for gold in them mountains over there in Alaska. But in honor of Dan, we got to break down the Phillies and Marlins, don't we, here? Because we've got Suarez on the mound for Philadelphia, Aller on the mound for Miami, and I think it's a pretty well-known fact here, TB. You don't the starting left-handed pitchers against the Marlins, probably a good idea to back them in some way, shape, or form, because the Marlins can't hit righties either, but they really can't hit lefties, at least from a starting pitching perspective. Any which way you'd approach this, even though it's a $2 favorite, total is 8 right now?
I definitely would not take the Phillies in today's game. And I mean, I hear what you're saying about their left-handed hitting problems and the like. If you look at Ranger Suarez and his history against this Miami Marlins team, he has held them down quite well. In 27 at-bats, he's got a 185 average against and a 399 OPS. So yes, he has held them. But actually, I have the Marlins lineup hitting better than the Phillies right now, and I have their bullpen ranked higher. So That's two red flags right there where I definitely would not be on the Phillies in this one. Aller's not a huge sample size, but I mean, he's 1-1 with a 3.31 ERA, so he's not a horrible pitcher. I don't really know much about him, to be honest, so I would stay away from this game. I definitely would not take the Phillies on the run line or on the money line in this one.
All right, the team total. How would you approach it at all? I mean, this record against lefty starters is hilariously bad here. I mean, maybe even a first 5 spot.
So, the funny thing is, like, a couple things. One, I think the Marlins' struggles against left-handed pitching I think those numbers are more season long. Because when you look at the lineup that they currently have right now, which is the only thing we care about, we don't care about who was struggling in April or May, because it's a very different team, right? Like the Marlins lineup now is a lot different than it was in April and May. You look at this lineup, Xavier Edwards, switch hitter, Norby, Berger, Jonah Bride, they all bat from the right. It's right heavy. Sanchez, I think there is I think Stowers is a lefty, but like, you know what I mean? Like you look at this lineup, it's very right heavy hitting wise. Like they should be better than they are against left-handed pitching. Now I'll throw one more thing in here, Joe. This is going to be the third straight left-handed starter that they faced in 3 consecutive days, because they faced Corbin on Tuesday, they faced Mackenzie Gore yesterday, and so now it's Suarez here. Like I almost think that helps the Marlins. I did not bet this, but man, like if you're going to bet this game, plus money on the run head start seems pretty good to me. Even you could even go further down the line and go like alt run line plus 2.5, but Marlins plus 1.5 at home, getting plus 115 on that run line is the way to go here. I think they're going to break through against left-handed pitching at some point, and they just beat one yesterday. They just won a game in which Mackenzie Gore started. I just think that there's some value on the Marlins.
Well, I'll tell you this, too, I didn't realize it, but the Marlins 47-18 to the over at home this year, mostly because they're giving up 9 trillion runs at home. But, for such a hitter-depressed ballpark, that's a great over record for the Marlins.
Joe. Well, because and you look at like team batting average and stuff for the Marlins, that is a fantastic stat you just dug up. Would never have guessed that.
Their bullpen's not that bad, so I'm kind of surprised to hear that.
Starting pick, they got, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that they were getting crushed early in the season at home. They weren't even close, but you're right. The bullpen did come into its own here. First 5 over 4.5 may not be a bad look on that one either, if you think runs are coming here. All right, we got best bets coming up in a couple of games. One of them will include the Atlanta Braves. Another one will include the Oakland Athletics versus Seattle Mariners. One other game we're getting some questions on. How about Arizona? Merrill Kelly, not exactly a great return here, but taking on Blake Snell, who is, well, I mean, let's face it, the second half of maybe the last 4 months, there has been no better pitcher in a very long time than what he has done. 7 of the total. Giants a $1.45 favorite in this one, TB. Do we get in front of Snell here, even though there isn't anything Arizona has faced that they can't hit here?
Very true. And there's no way you can take the Giants as a favorite in this game, because the Arizona Diamondbacks are hitting better than any other team in all of Major League Baseball. I agree that Snell is one of the best pitchers in MLB right now. As a matter of fact, my rankings on the curve of 30, I have him ranked number 4. And I have Merrill Kelly. Ranked a lot lower than that. I have Merrill Kelly ranked about 16. So, yeah, I mean, huge pitching advantage. Bullpen's about even. But the thing is, Arizona, they have the best lineup in all of Major League Baseball. And San Francisco's lineup is horrible, actually. Very, very mediocre. Not even mediocre. I mean, I have them ranked 25th out of 30 lineups. Not hitting, not doing anything. no stars, no nothing. So if anything, I mean, if you think that Snell can hold the Diamondbacks down, then the under in this game would probably be the best bet. But there's no way I'm betting an under when you have the number one lineup in Major League Baseball in the game. Blake Snell's good, but he's not Superman. Against the Diamondbacks in his history, though, 97 at bats against, he's held them to a 155 batting average and a 526 OPS. And I've said before on shows and videos that I've done, since I was a Major League Baseball scout, I use about 750 OPS over under as kind of a telling point whether you dominate the batters or not. And 526 OPS means he's dominated these batters. Man, the Diamondbacks are red hot right now. I would not be able to take an under in this with that lineup, and I definitely would not be able to take the Giants in this with that lineup. So, no is the answer.
It's just, it's A game versus A game. It's going to be a fascinating one, and I think that one starts 3:45 Eastern time. So a bit of an early start on the West Coast there in San Francisco, but it feels like that's got to be must-watch TV here today with Arizona taking on Blake Snell and the Giants. All right, let's get – go ahead, Jake.
I have a quick I just want to say one thing about that one. The Diamondbacks, it's priced. The narrative that they just crush left-handed pitching is like one that's somewhat known now. So I think like you'll probably see this get bet down a little bit. Like, so right now where it is, you have minus 150 Giants posted on your screen. I see like minus 145, minus 147. If Arizona takes enough money here, which is possible, and this were to get driven down to like minus 130, I would play back with the Giants and Snell at that price. And the reason why is this. A lot of those left-handed success numbers accumulated over the course of the season. Ketel Marte, he's still out. I believe Moreno is still out. You just got Christian Walker back, who's definitely a big help in that regard. Let's make sure he's in the lineup, right? He's just came back from injury. He's played back-to-back days. I'm sure they want him out there, but do they give him a day off? Like, we'll see. So I think it's going to be important to see who's in the lineup. But, some of those guys that helped with those numbers against left-handed pitching are hurt or not in the lineup. And then you talk about, one of the biggest sort of OPS guys that Arizona has right now, Jock Peterson, is not going to have that same there's almost no way he's going to be in the lineup against Snell. So that would be my concern. Nope. Wait to see the lineups there. But I would say if Christian Walker is not in this lineup for Arizona, then you could probably play the Giants, especially if it gets bet down. I don't love it at minus 150. If this got hit D-backs, because people are going to be like, I got to take that value. Arizona plus 135, can't pass that up. If this gets driven down, I would play back around like minus 130 or so, because I think you do have a pretty big pitching edge with Snell on the mound.
Yeah, the first two games with Nelson and Zach Gallen were 7.5, I believe, in this series. Both of those games went flying over, mostly because the bullpen got involved for Arizona late and the runs started coming in. So the bullpen is going to be interesting, and it's going to be very interesting to see how long Merrill Kelly can go in this, since that bullpen has not fared well in for Arizona in this one. But the total staying strong at 7 here. So we got best bets here today on a limited card, and we're going to kick it back to you, TB, to start us off. And I believe you're going to head to Truist Park with the Atlanta Braves getting ready to take on Austin Gomber and the Rockies. This is a big number expected, but it's not a big total. 8 is what we're looking at in this one. How you approaching it?
Yeah, okay. So I do have a feature play in MLB out today, which you can get at my page at WagerTalk.com. So go grab that at wt.buzz/TB, which you see on your screen right there. Number 1 all sports profit in 2024, and number 1 in MLB profit 2024. So pretty decent capper to back at the moment, and it's a good play for today. But I do have a free play for this show, which I'm going to do right now. And as Joe alluded to, it is in the Rockies and Braves game. We got Reynaldo Lopez taking on Austin Gomber. And there are probably only two pitchers that I can think of that are worse than Austin Gomber. He's awful. And he's backed by a bullpen that's ranked 22 out of 30 teams. So Colorado's bullpen, terrible. Colorado's starting pitcher, terrible. And if you look at Colorado on the road, I don't have the White Sox road record in front of me, but I'm willing to bet, without looking at the White Sox road record, that the Rockies are worse on the road than the White Sox. They're 19-52 on the road. Awful. And, the Braves are 38-28 at home. Not award-winning record, but it's good. Anytime you're 10 games above 500 at home, it's a good record. And I like Reynaldo Lopez. I mean, he gets a lot of slack since he was with the White Sox, etc. I have him ranked 7 out of 30 on the curve, and he's backed by a really good bullpen. Granted, Atlanta has taken a lot of injuries here, not only in their starting rotation, but in their hitting. Arcia, Acuna, Olsen, a lot of injuries, and I have them hitting quite poorly right now. I got them ranked 21, so they're starting to show some life. I thought they were pretty much out of it. I thought they were going to fade away after losing all those players, but they're showing some life in the last 3 or 4 games. They're putting up runs, and I'm kind of surprised by it. But I don't think Colorado's a team that can stop this Atlanta team, especially with Lopez on the mound. I really like Reynaldo Lopez, and I think the -1.5 here is a good bet. So that's my best bet for the show here is Atlanta Braves -1.5 on the run line. It's -130, kind of an expensive run line for a home team, since as everybody knows, if the home team's winning, which Atlanta most certainly should be winning, won't bat in the 9th inning. So they only get 8 innings of at-bats. So a run line is quite dangerous with the home team, but I like it here. Gomber's just awful. Colorado is such a horrible road team. I don't see Atlanta losing this game. I see them winning by at least 3 or 4 runs in this. So best bet is Atlanta -1.5.
I'm with you, man. I mean, Lopez, even prior to the little stint on the IL there at the end of July there, he was the steady force here for a rotation that was just going injury after injury. And then he comes back in August. His last 3 starts, he's given up 1 run. But even that, I don't know what his K-prop is, but he's got 23 strikeouts, I think, in his last 3 starts here in 17 innings. Yeah, a lot of swinging and missing. A lot of guys chasing the ball out of the zone with him. So I love him, too. I'm with you, man. I think he's one of the most underrated guys in the National League right now. Atlanta -1.5 at $130 for a best bet for TB, Tokyo Brandon. Trig, your best bets. It can't possibly be the White Sox. Thank God they're not playing today. But the Oakland A's are. But let's face it, Oakland just sticking it to Seattle here. Seattle, Brian Woo going here. Estes for the A's. What are we doing? 3:30 Eastern time start here. What are we going to do with this one, Trig?
Yeah, so I've kind of talked about the A's regularly on this show over the past couple weeks. We've had success backing them pretty much. I think just about every time I've brought them up, they've won either one outright or covered the +1.5. I like them again here, Joe, off the reset of sorts. So the reset came in the form of a 16-run outburst from the Mariners, the most runs they've scored in a game in 8 years. Kind of funny that I've been trashing the Mariners offense for 2 weeks, and they come out with their highest run total in almost a decade. But, are they going to do that again? Probably not. And it allowed the A's to reset their bullpen, which is one of the strengths, those high leverage bullpen arms, Mason Miller, Grant Holman, get a day off. So that's good as far as you're looking at the A's. I want to point something out here. Brian Woo has absolutely owned the A's. In 4 starts against the A's, he's 3-0 with 21.1 scoreless innings. I guess the way I'm looking at it is this. It can't possibly get better than that for Woo against this team, right? Like, what's he going to throw another 6-7 scoreless? Like, you just don't see that against the same team, especially against a team in your division To get nothing off of a guy they've started to see a couple times just doesn't typically happen. Even with the best of the best, even go look at like Max Scherzer in his prime against the Marlins. Like they're still going to get something, right? Like it's just you get enough repetition against a pitcher, going to give up something at some point. The reason I think it could be here is this: one, Bryan Woo got knocked around a little bit last time out against the Angels. The 4 runs, believe it or not, were the most he's given up in a start all season. And I look at his season-long numbers, and I think a couple things. They're phenomenal, so there's that. But I think he was helped along early by the fact that he was on a pitch count, and he typically wasn't going a third time through the order, sometimes not even a second time through the order. This is a guy that has had a multitude of different injuries this year. I wonder if that starts to catch up with him now that we're in September. Remember, his season didn't start. I think his first start was like a month in, and then he tweaked a hamstring. He left another game. I think he got hit with a comeback or something. The guy's had three different injuries this year that he's missed time with. So his numbers are phenomenal, but he's only at 94. I believe he's at 94 innings for the season. And I think, but it's not like he hasn't had to work, right? Rehabbing injuries is tough work. And I wouldn't be surprised if last time out against the Angels is maybe the tip of the iceberg on some fatigue that we see with him, which would make him a good fade because right now he's priced at the very top of the market as far as starting pitching is concerned. He's still on the Mariners. This team still can't hit. I don't care that they scored 16 runs in a blowout yesterday. Prior to that game, they were hitting under 200 as a team on the road for about 15 straight games. So I wouldn't be surprised if they reverted back to their old ways here, Joe, of not hitting. And, Joey Estes is a guy that's grown on me a little bit. I got to be honest. He wasn't someone that jumped off the screen at the AAA level. I didn't think he was going to have this type of success at the big league level, but, he's starting to build up a sample size. Last 9 starts, he's got a 2.88 ERA. He's been just as good against the Mariners as Woo has been against the A's. 2 starts this season, 0.79 ERA. I believe that's 1 run over 11 and a third innings. And he knows how to pitch. That's the biggest takeaway I see when I watch Estes pitch. He makes competitive pitches in big spots and he stays in the game. And that's something that if you're on the A's and you've got this A's team and you can turn the ball over to Holman and Miller at the end of the game, that's a good thing right there, and I think that's what Estes brings to the table for them. And then finally, someone's going to break through against Woo. You've got Lawrence Butler, Brett Rooker. These dudes over the last 10 days are both hitting over 400. They hit the ball out of the ballpark at a rate that's 5th in the bigs right now in home runs. I think they're going to break through Bryan Woo finally here, and I think it'll be enough for them to hold this up. So A's plus 1.5, minus 130, I think is a good bet. You take the run, but if you want to live dangerously, I suppose, that money line looks good too. For argument's sake, A's plus 1.5, minus 130, minus 135 will be my best bet for the show.
All right, take it at home. Yeah, the chance of the bottom 4 hitters, I believe, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, they had 13 RBIs for the Mariners last night and went 10 for 17. I do not think that is going to happen again. I am with you there, Trig. Quite the anomaly. But the bottom line is you have an opportunity to hop on board here. Best bets are available. You heard Tokyo Brandon tell you at his page, WagerTalk.com. Hop on board with him. Of course, Trig as well, ready to go, locked and loaded today. Nobody does baseball like these two guys over at WagerTalk.com, so make sure that you head over there and partner up with them as we get ready for the final stretch of the regular season in MLB. And, of course, we got plenty of NFL and college football still to talk about coming up top of the hour. Wager Talk today will be front and center, plus the return of the college football kickoff show at 1 o'clock Eastern time here today. Both of those shows will be live, so if you're joining us on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube Shorts or X or Facebook or whatever the hell else there is, you might as well stick around because we'll be back here in no time. Plenty of more Major League Baseball, NFL, and college football talk coming your way. Dan Alexander will be back on Monday, unless, of course, he hits gold in Nome, Alaska, at which point, Dan, it was great knowing you. Let us know when you buy the Phillies. Until then, guys, best of luck with your plays here today. We'll be back again tomorrow. Good luck. Cash those tickets. We'll see you again soon.